Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 13.3 Beta 3 has been out for a few weeks without an update, and we thought we'd see the final release by now, but I thought I'd do a follow-up on it, and then also talk about some information that came out about location services from Apple, and then also another update as well. Now the first thing is, if you have an iPhone 11, 11 Pro, or 11 Pro Max, and you're seeing this location icon an awful lot, Apple has actually made a comment about that and said that their wideband technology for locating other devices seemingly uses this even if all of your settings are off for location. So if you go into general and privacy and location and just turn off location services altogether, you still may see that arrow. And so Apple has commented about that, talking about wideband technology, and that's where when you're airdropping to someone and you have the ability to point your phone towards someone and airdrop it, that location icon will still stay on even though everything's turned off. They have said that in a future update that will be turned off and it will actually have the option to shut that off altogether. So that's just more privacy information. They say they don't share that information with anyone, but you'll have control of it in a future update. Now, another thing they've updated today is the Clips app. Now, I didn't know they really were updating this or still using it, but it now has the ability to use an emoji. So if you're in the Clips app and then you hit this little star here and you can select an emoji. And so if you want to use whatever an emoji and then put on a filter, you can do that, and now you have the ability to use all the emoji. It's kind of neat looking, but I didn't know anyone still uses the Clips app, so they've updated it for free. So if you're using Clips, you'll have those options as well, along with a bunch of other things. Now, the other things they've included with Clips have to do with a new poster for Let It Snow. There's also some new stickers as far as Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse for animated stickers and things like that. So if you're using Clips, you'll have all of those new things in there. Now, as far as iOS 13.3 has been, well, for me, it's been mostly positive. Over the past couple of weeks that I've been using it on my iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's been mostly a positive experience, with the exception of one thing that I continually have issues with. Now, with iOS 13.2.3, this was fixed. My LTE connectivity. So when I leave a Wi-Fi network, oftentimes LTE wouldn't work. With 13.2.3, that was completely fixed. And now with Beta 3, it's hit or miss. It's working fine today, but then other times it just doesn't work properly. So I'll leave a Wi-Fi network and then go into YouTube and it just won't load. So I've had that problem over and over. It is not my carrier. It works that way with any carrier, and I have lots of people telling me the same thing on AT&T, Verizon, you name it. It's been happening. So I don't know if they just didn't apply that fix yet to these betas or what, but with the public version, if I want it fixed, I can just roll back to the public version and I'll have that ability back and it will work properly. Other than that, stability for me has been really good. I haven't had any apps crash, and speed has been good for the most part. Occasionally it'll have a hiccup when I go into Safari, but most apps and things load super fast. I've really had no issues whatsoever. If I go into YouTube, I didn't have it open on here, so it takes a moment, go into YouTube, and it loads nice and fast. Things are working well. I really have no complaints whatsoever. So I'm really happy with the stability of 13.3, but some people are not. And performance is great too, speed and everything else. No problems whatsoever. I really haven't had any issues. You'll see everything's just flying along. And I know some people were saying with the public release they were having issues, but with the beta, most people are saying it's fairly stable. And that leads me on to the battery life. Now, I'll be honest, I have not been feeling well for the past week and a half. I'm finally getting over the flu. So I've been mostly on my iPad, so this does not have a ton of usage, but I'll show you what I have. So you'll see a couple days ago I had 3 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time, 1 hour and 44 minutes of screen off time, and that was only using about 33% of the battery. So I'm actually getting pretty good battery life. So if we bring that out times 4, I'm getting about 10 to 12 hours of screen on time, no problem whatsoever. So I'm seeing that on the 11 Pro Max with the bigger battery. Now you may see a little bit different, but I've had phenomenal battery life. And you'll see my number one used apps are Twitter and YouTube. and home screen notifications mostly. Now, if we take a look at another day, you'll see the same sort of thing. I only used a quarter of my battery, had 2 hours and 13 minutes of screen on time. So just depending on the day really makes a difference. Today, I've only used it an hour and 34 minutes and 43 minutes of screen off time, but you'll see I'm currently at 89%. So I'm having really good battery life, no complaints whatsoever as far as that goes. So I've been trying a few different things out. I've actually tried Facebook a little bit because a lot of people respond to me on there. So I've been trying these things. Facebook usually eats up a lot of battery, so I normally delete it. Now, this time around, I did not do a YouTube community poll. There were not that many people that were actually on the beta, so I wasn't sure how many people would be interested in that, but probably next time with the final release, I'll definitely do a poll, and let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below, because I do get a pretty good response on that. We get thousands of votes, but a lot of the time it was only 20% or so running a beta. So I'm not sure how many of you would be interested in the comments of other people on the beta, since we're going to see a final release hopefully pretty soon. Now, as far as iOS 13.3's final release date, well, I would really expect it to be out probably next week, since we have an A build. So the build number on this one is actually ending with an A, and normally that means it's close to a final release. So I would expect either a beta 4 or a final release. And then I did check back to see what they did with iOS 12, and it looks like last March is when they released iOS 12.3. Now we're on iOS 13.3 before the beginning of the year, so we've seen a lot more updates. But I am glad that they've slowed it down a little bit over the holidays, giving us a little bit of a break, and hopefully they get things right with iOS 13.3 and it's just much more stable overall. But let me know how it's been for you in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. And if there's anything specific you want to see that I'm not showing you, I'd love to hear what you have to say about that as well. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description as I always do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.